All right, and we are live with this beautiful Wednesday, September 3rd. You'd think after all these writing stints, I'd learn to look at the date before we start, but always I will look down there to confirm it. It's a beautiful Wednesday, September 3rd, and we are doing, as per usual, 3 20-minute sprints with 5 minute breaks in between. How is everybody doing today? Let's see who's going on in the chat. NJ got here a bit early. Welcome, welcome. Elena, hello. Elena, you working on your thesis today? That's a very exciting. Congrats on that one. Samantha, we haven't seen you in a while, so welcome. Hope all is well. Welcome back. Let's keep scrolling down here. Athena, hello, hello. I'm joining from a train tonight, so hopefully the service won't be too spotty. Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. And a very good example of how you should take advantage of those times in your life, if you can, if you want to, and write even when you think you're not in an ideal situation. I did a lot of writing on the train when I used to commute down to Toronto for a job way back when. So I'm well familiar. That's the word with writing on the train. Hope, hello. David, hello. Linda's here. Hello, Linda. Um, let's see. I think Emily is here. Emily, first time joining the live sprints again. Lovely to be here. I was gonna say, not the first time we've seen you, but I'm glad that you're here. Summer was too hot for you to be writing in the early evening. Samantha, I'm glad that you're back too. TW, hello. And yes, David, the thumbs of steel, as he's known around here, writes on his phone. That madman. One moment. Got a little tickle in my throat. Hopefully it doesn't turn into anything, but because we have some big stuff coming up. And I noticed up here, I know folks are asking how I am, and I mean I'm wonderful. I get to hang out with you all for the next hour and a half while we write our stories. How could I not be right now? But yes, in general, I'm making excellent progress on my new urban fantasy. I've been writing it for like 2.5 weeks now, and I should hit the 30,000 word mark today. No, I'm past it, past 30,000 words. So yeah. Yeah. But I noticed that NJ said up here, oh, before I get there, Rosalinda's here. Hello, Rosalinda. Um, NJ said, let me find it. Thinking about holding off on the sci-fi for the 60-day novel challenge. And that, I mean, I'll probably have to ask for forgiveness for this after, but we are doing the 60-day novel challenge. It is going to run from October through November. You'll hear a lot more details about it in the coming weeks as we promote it, as we get the space in W campus set up. But the way that we are doing it this year, same as last year, there will be the template that we've put together that, as I've been going through it to revise it to make sure everything is where we want it to be, to change anything we want, just reminded of how much great content is in there. So really, really cool to do that. We're going to be doing the same kind of format as Indie Summer this year, rather than the format we did last year, which is going to be a video, like a lesson on Monday for you to watch. Then there will be the homework, quote unquote, the exercises in the template for you to do. And then we're going to have a live stream every Thursday to recap it, to discuss our progress, to answer questions. We're going to do that every week. And then, of course, in November, we have to do the Monday to Friday writing sprints. So stay tuned for more details on that, because I feel like I've already said too much. But you're going to want to be over on W Campus for that one. That's w.com. And you're going to want to be subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit that little notification, because we're going to be putting out content on here like crazy. I have 50 seconds until the first sprint starts. I haven't even asked everyone what they're writing today. I've been such a bad host. So if you can't answer in 40 seconds, let me know what you're writing today. Otherwise, we're going to talk about it once we're back from the sprint. But I dropped the link for the first sprint in the chat there. You should see the links for all three of them down below me, and you can get to the second one from the link in that first sprint that we'll be doing in about 20 seconds now. NJ missed the 60-day challenge last year. Well, I'm glad that you've been around since, or were you here before the 60-day challenge, or did you join us after? And you just didn't do the challenge with us. Anyway, I've been here for so. I hear a beeping. It's time for me to get. I'll see you all in 20 minutes. All right. So ends our first sprint. Let me pause my music. However, I will say I've been trying this new playlist on Spotify, Reading Urban Fantasy. I know some folks like when I share it, so let me grab the link here. It's been full of jams. I don't know, it might be too much sometimes for my writing playlist. Is no lyrics or anything, but whew, the jams be a jammin' today, and I was feeling it. How did everybody do? Let's see what's going on in the chat here. I saw before we went for that sprint, NJ's working on the Batman fanfic. Aaron's working on your third revision. Awesome. Samantha's working on researching agents today, and you'll be sending in your queries tomorrow. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Great job. Hope's working on a scene where the male main character takes the female main character to the secret group he's been working for. Ooh, very cool. All right. David wrote 619 words. Ashley just got back from work. Such awful traffic, but you're here now. You get to write some words with us. So everything's better. It might not be good. Don't know what's going on, if there's any extenuous circumstances, but it's better now that you're here. Aaron got 39 words in that revision time. Hope 305. NJ 348. Elena 261, the Italian main character, talked back to his awful maternal aunt and defended the Romanian main character, who's his stepbro. Well, good for him. That's awesome. And Rosalinda is not sure of the word count, but you're trying to write the blurb for your fourth book in the series. I hate blurbs. I am right alongside you with that one. Blurbs are insanely difficult to write, and I mean, we can do a show on them. I know Abby and Hank just included a lot of that information in Indie Summer, and I came on for one of the shows to discuss back blurbs and sales page copy, because those are similar, but they don't have to be different. And in fact, you have a lot more flexibility. I know Rosalinda knows this, but you have a lot more flexibility in like your Amazon store listing than on your back cover. But the blurb is never fun. The blurb is never an enjoyable experience to write, even if you come from like a marketing background. It's not I don't like it. Writing the story is a lot more fun. About that. Rosalinda knows nothing. Emily got 200-ish, diving deeper into the character's reality. I like that. Excellent, excellent. I have we have 2 minutes left. Let me grab a sip of water real quick. But okay, I had a couple things that I wanted to mention today. What were the things that I wanted to mention? First, let me do my due diligence as an excellent Dabble employee and let you all know that, of course, we have sprints tomorrow. But if you are in W Academy, then we have our monthly office hours tomorrow over at W Campus. As for other live shows that are going on, next week is just sprints happening. But the Wednesday after that, on the 17th, um, Hank is talking with Steve Bollier about fantasy, about the landscape of fantasy. Steve is involved with writing and publishing. So if you are a fantasy writer, that's going to be a good one to tune into. But I'll remind you about that. I mean, day of, because we're going to be doing the sprints then too. NJ, my main character, is being shaken down by a mob boss while an injured Nightwing is hiding in the closet. Batfam is looking for a kidnapped Damian Wayne. I just saw, this is, for people that don't know anything about the comics, this is going to mean nothing, but I just saw this YouTube short about someone saying they were a villain in the DC universe, and which superhero is going to come after them after a bank heist, and it's one of the Robins, and they say, okay, that's fine, no big deal. Then they learn it's the Red Hood, and suddenly they are very scared. And just I don't read a lot of comics, but I love, and I think this translates to any writer, I love exploring the world and the stories and the characters of comic books, because there's so many storylines going on all at once. There's so many characters that interact with one another. And I think balancing that dynamic is a very difficult thing to do, and something that takes a lot of work for comic writers. And it's something that I think we can learn from as novel writers when it comes to our own stories, especially people who are writing fantasy, sci-fi, something that takes place in a bigger universe, or a romantic, not romantic, well, romantasy or romance universe. Rosalinda, thank you for joining us. I did not drop the second link in the chat here. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I'm gonna hop on over to right. Let me pop that up on stage. I'll see y'all in 20 minutes. Alrighty. So ends our second sprint of the day. Let me grab the link before I forget for the third one. Again, you'll find it down below me if you want to join me over at wordsprints.org. But here it is for you. That should be the one anyway. And I'm going to copy and paste all my words that I've written so far over into the third sprint. So I'm good to go. And let's check in here. Ashley saying you don't want any of the Robins to come for you. That's true, right? I know enough about that, but from my understanding, Red Hood is much more indiscriminate about his violence than the other ones. Most of the time, anyway. I've read enough stories to know that. Ashley got 766. Elena got 234. Excellent. Elena saying for people who like mafia romance, as an Italian, mafia isn't what books portray. It's horrible. Look up what they did to Giuseppe Di Matteo, a child. Sorry for the rant, but you need to say it. There is it. You bring up a valid point in that when we write, we often have to deal with really sensitive and real issues. So how you handle that kind of is determined by you, by what you think is important, by what you think you need to do, and um, it often requires extra work. And I think it's important as writers that we acknowledge that that is something we have to deal with and that we have to put in the extra work to do it. There are some genres, of course, that don't view some subject matter as seriously as people in the real world do. And to that, I can't speak for people in that genre who write or read it, but yeah, there's a romanticization beyond the romance genre of a lot of stuff that is hurtful for a lot of people. And that's just something you need to be aware of when you write, right? Um, let's see. David got 760 or 673, and Jay got 428 ish. Samantha's off for the day. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad that you could. Hopefully see you next Wednesday. Ashley's writing a fanfic, but it's my take on how a character came to be, so it's mostly original. I think once I finish it, I can convert it into my own manuscript. Ray is joining us for the last sprint. Welcome, welcome. And Ashley, absolutely. The novel that I'm writing right now is based off of a story that I wrote, 5 years ago. And so there's no reason you can't write something and then down the line, or right away, if you decide you want to do an immediate turnaround, turn it into something else. Especially if you do all the work to create the plot and the other characters and make that character unique to what you want your story to be. In that case, you just need to change, a handful of things maybe for the character. Make sure you're not infringing on any IP there. But 100%, there's so many people doing that. SK is also joining for the last sprint. I'm glad that you could come, or that you could join before we started the last one. Hope 274, and I'm finding out about the leader of the secret group. She's a badass older woman. I love it. Excellent. Yeah, NJ, it's kind of interesting thing writing about a touchy subject. It's hard when what you're writing bothers people, but sometimes that's the point. The bad thing bothers you, you won't repeat it. Yeah, and it depends on the intention of your writing too. Because if you are writing something like, personally, I don't want to write something that causes harm to other people. I don't mind being, provocative to a degree. I don't mind asking hard questions or broaching hard subjects. It's easier for me to do that writing fantasy. I don't have to write, realistic stuff and tackle real things head on. But still, especially when it comes to theme, like in my dark fantasy series, it's angels and demons and half demons and the apocalypse. But we're talking about, like, it's very much about belonging and discrimination and striving to be accepted and what isolation does to people and challenges of faith, stuff like that. So all real stuff. But because, for example, talking about challenges of faith, because so many people are faithful or religious, I do have to be aware of how I'm portraying that, because I don't want to harm people, but I do want people to think, you know? Okay. All right. I hear the beeping. I'm putting this back up. We have 20 minutes. I'll see you all on the other side. Happy writing. All right, everyone. So ends our last sprint of the day. Let me put my face like that. How did we do? I got just shy of 2,300 words this time around, which is excellent. There were some instances, and there always are, but especially this time around, I really struggled with phrasing things the way I want. And so I have like very heavy in there, and that's going to turn into one stronger word, right? But we're sprinting. We're sprinting. We're here to get words out. We're here to just be productive. That kind of stuff can come in a revision later. Though I am getting to the first instance of our protagonist meeting the antagonist not going so well for our hero. So I'm going to slow it down for my next writing session tomorrow morning and take my time on that one to make sure I get the dialogue right and make sure I get the conflict between them right. But yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Hope saying that last sprint went in a blink. All three of them go in a blink for me. I can't believe. I wish the rest of my workday went this quickly. Shh, don't tell anyone that. No, but then if it went this quickly, I feel like I would never get anything done. Ashley got 708 for a total of 1475. Excellent. Hope's digging the playlist. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Rhea got 166. You're having problems describing some harder feelings and turning them into words. There is something I was pointed to the other day. Let me see. Is it the writer's thesaurus? There is. I wish I had. Oh yeah, okay. The emotion thesaurus. The Emotion Thesaurus by Becca Puglisi and Angela Ackerman. Let me. Oh, it's a heck of a link there. This is an Amazon.ca link, but it should convert to your own. But that's a very popular resource that goes through different ways to express emotions, descriptions, actions, that kind of stuff. Hope has it. It's really good. Yeah, it's very popular. Yeah, the Emotion Thesaurus. Thank you, Hope. Yeah, it is very popular. It's very. It's one of those things that you want to have in your toolkit, whether it's electronic or physical, your choice, or rent it from the library. Okay, let me back up here. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. Hope got 700 words and a new character. Awesome. NJ's at over 5K total now. That's fantastic. David 623. Great. Emily, great to be live again. I concur. Welcome back. They're much quicker live when you're doing them on your own. Yeah, I agree. Right, I agree, and that's really cool that they feel that way for us when we're doing it together like this. You're welcome, Rhea. You're welcome. Okay. Well, that is it for me. Tomorrow, Hank will be hosting sprints. Next week, we have the 3 days of sprinting again. I do believe Hank is off next Thursday. So next week, Abby's going to host Tuesday. I'll host Wednesday. And then I think both Abby and I are going to host on Thursday. So you get a double dose of us at the expense of Hank taking time off, spending time with his family, being on vacation. I don't know, stuff that's very healthy for you to do in a job. Don't forget to copy and paste your words out of wordsprints.org if you join me in those sessions. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for all the good discussion. Thanks for supporting one another. Again, if you haven't, go and check out dabbleu.com. If you aren't using Dabble to write, then you should be going and checking out that 2-week free trial. No credit card required. You get all the premium access for those 2 weeks. And then you don't get that weird like surprise charge if you don't love it like I do. And then last thing, make sure you hit that like button underneath me. Give me a thumbs up. Keeps us doing this, makes us feel good, and helps YouTube send more people our way for stuff like this. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all later. Bye for now.